Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah. Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah. Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah.
Hamidan wa musalliya wa mutawakkilan ala Allah, amma ba'd. Today we would begin the masterpiece of Hazrat Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi, Nawwarallahu Markadahu, the masterpiece known as the Mathnawi. This is the translation from the original manuscript, which is the Persian literature. It's now available to us, alhamdulillah. It comprises of about, I think, 6 books or 6 volumes. But we will start and inshallah we will continue. This is something that it is in poetry form, the Mathnawi, and is very difficult to understand except if Allah makes it easy. Maulana Jalaluddin, his great poem is the Mathnawi. It's a poem, one big, huge, inspired, ilhami poem. It's one of the best known and most influential works of Tasawwuf Muslim mysticism. The Mathnawi was begun around 1258 at the suggestion of a murid and a disciple of his, Sheikh Husamuddin, who acted as an this is a difficult English word, amanuensis. The English word is easier. The common word is easier. In fact, even the Arabic word is easier. So Sheikh Husamuddin was the one who listened to Sheikh Jalaluddin, and as he dictated it, Sheikh Husamuddin recorded. Listened from his Sheikh Jalaluddin. Such a person, he was an amanuensis. And though the final story is incomplete, composition probably ceased a while before Rumi's death in 1273. The 6 books of the poem amount to more than 25,000 verses. The Mathnawi, more than 25,000 verses, loosely structured and at times metrically rough and colloquial in style. The work pursues its way through hundreds of stories drawn from many literary and other sources, and all of these are combined and used to illustrate the main theme, the mawdu, the main subject matter, which is what? Man's predicament in his search for God, in his search for Allah, in his quest for Allah, his predicament in his talab and search for Allah. This is the main theme, and this should be our theme. After all, you know what? That is our goal, our search for Allah. So we begin with Allah's help, inshallah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad an-Nabiyil Ummi wa ala alihi wa sallim taslima. In the name of Allah, the merciful, the compassionate, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Listen to the reed. You know of a reed? A reed is any plant like that of a bamboo, sugarcane, etc. Listen to the tale of the reed, how it tells its tale. Complaining of separation, saying, ever since I was parted from the reed bed, my lament had caused man and woman to mourn my parting. I want a bosom torn by severance, that I may unfold to such a one the pain of love and desire, because only such a bosom would understand my story. Everyone who is left far from his source wishes back the time when he was united with it. In every company, I uttered my wailful notes. I consorted with the unhappy and with them that rejoice. Everyone became my friend from his own opinion. None sought out my secrets from within me. My secret is not far from my plaint, but my ear and eye lack the light whereby it should be apprehended. Body is not veiled from the soul, nor the soul from the body, yet none is permitted to see the soul. This noise, this cry, this noise of the reed is fire, arg. It is not wind. Whoso hath not this fire, may he be naught, may he be nothing. If you don't have this fire within you, then may you be nothing. You are nothing. 'Tis the fire of love that is in the reed. 'Tis the fervor of love that is in the wine. The reed is the comrade and friend of everyone who has been parted from a friend. Its strains pierced our hearts. Whoever saw a poison and antidote like the reed? Whoever saw a sympathizer and a longing lover like the reed? The reed tells of the way, full of blood, and recounts stories of the passion of Majnun. Only to the senseless is this sense confided. The tongue hath no customer save the air. In our woe, the days of life have become untimely. Our days travel hand in hand with burning griefs. Our days travel hand in hand with burning griefs. If our days are gone, let them go. 'Tis no matter. Do thou remain, halanta baqi, for none is holy as thou art. Whoever is not a fish becomes sated with his water. Whoever is without daily bread finds the day long. None that is raw understands the state of the ripe. Therefore, my words must be brief. Farewell, farewell. O son, burst thy chains and be free. How long wilt thou be a bondsman and a slave to silver and gold? Ta'isa Abdul dinar, Ta'isa Abdul dirham. If thou pour the sea into a pitcher, how much will it hold? One day's store. The pitcher, the eye of the covetous, never becomes full. The oyster shell is not filled with pearls until it is contented. He alone whose garment is rent by a mighty love is purged of covetousness, greed, and all its defects. Hail, love that bringeth good gain. Thou that art the physician of all our ills, O true love. Thou art the physician of all our ills, the remedy of our pride and vainglory, our Plato and our Galen. True love, the earthly body soared to the skies. The mountain began to dance and became nimble. Love inspired Tur Sinin, Mount Sinai, O lover, so that Sinai was made drunken and Musa alayhi salam fell into a swoon. Were I joined to the lip of one in accord with me, I too, like the reed, would tell all that may be told. But whoever is parted from one who speaks his language, he becomes dumb, though he have 100 songs. When the rose is gone and the garden faded, thou wilt never hear no more the nightingale's story. The beloved is all, and the lover but a veil. The beloved is living, al-hayy, and the lover a dead thing. When love hath no care for him, he is left as a bird without wings. Alas for him then. How should I have consciousness of aught before or behind when the light of my beloved is not before me and behind? Love wills that this world be shown forth. Wow. Love wills that this word be shown forth, this kalam. If the mirror does not reflect, how is that? Dost thou know why the mirror of thy soul reflects nothing and nothing? Because the rust is not cleared from its face. O my friends, hearken to this tale and understand in truth. It is the very marrow of our inward state. The story, with that introduction, understand the story of the kings falling in love with a handmaiden and buying her. In olden time, there was a king to whom belonged the power temporal and also the power spiritual. It chanced that one day he rode with his courtiers to the chase. On the king's highway, the king espied a handmaiden. The soul of the king was enthralled by her. For as much as the bird, his soul was fluttering in its cage. He gave money and bought the handmaiden. After he had bought her and won to his desire by divine decree, Taqdeer, she sickened. A certain man had an ass, but no pack saddle. As soon as he got a saddle, the wolf carried away his ass. He had a pitcher, but no water could be obtained. When he found the water, the pitcher broke. The king gathered the physicians together from left and right and said to them, "The life of us both is in your hands. My life is of no account, but she is the life of my life. I am in pain and wounded. She is my remedy. Whoever heals her, that is my life, will bear away with him my treasure and pearls, large and small." They all answered him, saying, we will hazard our lives and summon all our intelligence and put into the common stock. Each one of us is a Messiah and a Masih of a world of people. In our hands is a medicine for every pain. In their arrogance, they did not say, Insha'Allah. I mean a case in which omission of Insha'Allah is due to hardness of the heart, not the mere saying of Insha'Allah, for that is a superficial circumstance. Insha'Allah. How many a one has not pronounced Insha'Allah, the saving clause, and yet his soul is in harmony with the soul of it? The more cures and remedies they applied, the more did the illness increase and the need was not fulfilled. The sick girl became thin as a hair, while the eyes of the king flowed with tears of blood like a river. By divine decree, destiny, oxymel produced bile, and oil of almonds was increasing the dryness. No medicine was working. From giving myrobalan, constipation resulted. Relaxation ceased, and water fed the flames like naphtha. Then Jalaluddin goes on to tell us how it became manifest to the king that the physicians were unable to cure the handmaiden, and how he turned his face towards Allah and he dreamt of a holy man. The Masnavi continues. When the king saw the powerlessness of those physicians, he ran barefooted to the masjid. He entered the masjid and advanced to the mihrab. The prayer carpet was bathed in the king's tears. And coming to himself out of the flood of ecstasy and fana, he opened his lips in goodly praise and laud, saying, O thou, whose least gift is the empire of the world, it's the lowest of your gifts. What shall I say, inasmuch as thou knowest the hidden things? What should I say? O thou, with whom we always take refuge in our need, once again we have missed the way, but thou hast said, albeit I know thy secret, nevertheless declare it forthwith in thine outward act. When from the depths of his soul he raised a cry, dua, the sea of bounty began to surge. Slumber overtook him in the midst of weeping. He dreamt that an old man appeared and said, Good tidings, O king, thy prayers are granted. If tomorrow a stranger come for thee, he is from me. When he comes, he is the skilled physician. Deem him veracious, for he is trusty and true. In his remedy, behold absolute magic. In his temperament, behold the might and the qudrat of Allah. When the promised hour arrived and the day broke and the sun rising from the east began to burn the stars, the king was in the belvedere expecting to see that which had been shown mysteriously. He saw a person excellent and worshipful, a sun amidst a shadow. Coming from afar, like the new moon in slenderness and radiance. He was non-existent, though existent in the form of fantasy. In the spirit, fantasy is as naught, yet behold, a world turning on a fantasy and dream. Their peace and their war turn on a fantasy, and their pride and their shame spring from a fantasy. But those fantasies which ensnare the saints and the awliya are the reflection of the fair ones of the garden of Allah. In the countenance of the stranger guest was appearing that fantasy which the king beheld in his dream. The king himself, instead of the chamberlains, went forward to meet his guests from the invisible, the world unseen. Imagine fantasy into reality. Both were seamen who had learned to swim. The souls of both were knit together without sewing. The king said, "Thou wert my beloved, in reality not she, but in this world deed is used from deed. O thou who art to me as Mustafa Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, while I am like unto thee Umar radiyallahu anhu, I will gird my loins to do thy khidmat and service." The Jalaluddin now goes on to explain that beseeching the Lord, who is our helper, to help us observe self-control in all circumstances, and explaining the harmful and pernicious consequences of be'adabi and indiscipline. The Mathnawi continues, let us implore Allah to help us to self-control. One who lacks self-control is deprived of the grace of his Lord. The undisciplined man does not maltreat himself alone, but he sets the whole world on fire. A table of food was coming down from the heaven without headache and without selling and buying. But when some of the people of Musa alayhi salam cried disrespectfully and showed be'adabi, where is garlic and where is lentils? Straight away the heavenly bread and dishes of food, manna and salwa, were cut off. There remained for all of them the toil of sowing and laboring with mattock and the scythe. Again, when Jesus, Isa alayhi salam, made intercession, Allah sent food and bounty from heaven on trays, al-Ma'idah. But once more, be'adabi, the insolent fellows omitted to show respect, and like beggars snatched away the viands. Although Jesus, Isa ala nabiyina wa alayhi salam, entreated them saying, this is lasting and will not fail from off the earth, to show suspicion and greed at the table of majesty is ingratitude. Because of those impudent wretches who were blinded by greed, that gate of mercy was closed upon them. On account of withholding the zakat, no rain clouds arise, and in consequence of zina and fornication, the plague spreads in all directions. Whatever beholds thee of gloom and sorrow is the result of be'adabi, irreverence, and insolence withal. anyone behaving with irreverence, be'adabi, in the path of the friend Allah is a brigand who robs men, and he is no man. Through discipline, this heaven has been filled with light, and through discipline, the angels became immaculate and holy. By reason of be'adabi and irreverence, the sun was eclipsed, and insolence caused Azazil, Iblis, to be turned back from the door. Now Jalaluddin alayhi rahmah goes to show the meeting of the king with the divine physician whose coming had been announced to him in a dream. He, the king, opened his hands and clasped him to his breast and received him like love into his heart and soul, and began to kiss his hand and brow and inquire concerning his home and journey. So with many a question, he led him to the dais. At last, said he, I have found a treasure by being patient. He said also, O gift from God, Allah, and defense against trouble, O thou who art, the meaning of patience is the key of joy. And thou whose countenance is the answer to every question, by thee had knots are loosened without discussion. Thou interpretest all that is in our hearts. Thou givest a helping hand to everyone whose foot is in the mire. Welcome, O chosen one, O approved one. If thou vanish, destiny will come upon us, and the wide room will be straitened. Thou art the protector of the people. He that desires thee, none hath gone to perdition and destruction. Nay, verily, if he do not refrain. How the king led the physician to the bedside of the sick girl that he might see her condition. When that meeting and bounteous spiritual repast was over, he took his hand and conducted him to the harem. He rehearsed the tale of the invalid and her illness, and then seated him beside the sick girl. The physician observed the color of her face, felt her pulse, and inspected her urine. He heard both the symptoms and the secondary causes of her malady. He said, none of the remedies which they have applied builds up health. They, the false physicians, have wrought destruction. They were ignorant of the inward state. I seek refuge with Allah from that which they invent. He saw the pain, and the secret became open to him, but he concealed it and did not tell the king. Her pain was not from the black or the yellow bile. The smell of every firewood appears from the smoke, but it is not from the smoke. From her sore grief, he perceived that she was heart sore, well in body, but stricken in heart. Being in love is made manifest by soreness of heart. There is no sickness like heart sickness. The lover's ailment is separate from all other ailments. Love is the astrolabe of the mysteries of Allah. Whether love be from this earthly side or from that heavenly side, in the end, it leads us yonder. Whatever I say in exposition and explanation of love, when I come to love itself, I am ashamed of that explanation. Although the commentary of the tongue makes all clear, yet tongueless love is clearer. Subhanallah. Tongueless love is clearer. Whilst the pen was making haste in writing, it split upon itself as soon as it came to love. In expounding love, the intellect lay down helplessly. Like an ass in the mire, it was love alone that uttered the explanation of love and loverhood. The proof of the Son is the Son himself. If thou require the proof, do not avert thy face from him. If the shadow gives an indication of him, the Son himself gives spiritual light every moment. The shadow, like the chat in the night hours, brings sleep to thee. When the sun rises, the moon is cloven asunder. There is nothing in the world so wondrous strange as the sun, but the sun of the Spirit is everlasting. It hath no yesterday. Although the external sun is unique, still it is possible to imagine one resembling it. The spiritual sun, the Ruhani sun and Shams, which is beyond the ether, hath no peer in the mind or externally. Where is room in the imagination for his essence, that the like of him shall come into the imagination? Laysa kamithlihi shay, there is none like unto him. When news arrived of the face of Shamsuddin, the son of the religion, and here he speaks about where he turned, for Jalaluddin was a Maulana, an alim, versed in the knowledge of the scriptures and versed in al-Uloom al-Zahiriya, outward knowledge. But he's speaking about his meeting with his Sheikh Shamsuddin, Shamsud Tabriz. When the news arrived of the face of Shamsuddin, the son of deen and religion, the son of the fourth heaven, drew in its head and hid itself for shame. Wah! Really, man is indeed Ashraful Makhluqat. Since his name, Hazrat Jalaluddin is saying, look at the adab and respect. Since his name has come to my lips, my Sheikh Shamsuddin, Shamsud Tabriz, it behoves me to set forth some hint of his bounty. At this moment, my soul has plucked my skirt. He has caught the perfume of the kameez and the shirt of Yusuf. He said, for the sake of our years of companionship, recount one of those ecstasies. That is, Husamuddin said, for the sake of our years of companionship, recount one of those sweet ecstasies, that earth and heaven may laugh with joy, that intellect and spirit and I may increase 100-fold. I said, do not lay tasks on me, for I have passed away from myself, fana. My apprehensions are blunted, and I know not how to praise. Everything that is said by one who has not returned to consciousness, if he constrains himself or boastfully exaggerates, is unseemly, which shows that the whole of the Mathnawi was ilhami and by inspiration. How should I? Not a vein of mine is in its sense and sensible. Describe that friend who hath no peer. The description of his severance and this heart's blood, do thou at present leave over till another time. He said, feed me, for I am hungry, and make haste, for time is a cutting sword. The Sufi is the son of the present time. O comrade, it is not the rule of the way to say tomorrow. O comrade, it is not the rule of the way. It is not the rule of the path, of the suluk, to say tomorrow. Art not thou indeed a Sufi then? That which is in hand is reduced to naught by postponing the payment. I said to him, it is better than the secret of the friend should be disguised. Do thou hearken to it as implied in the contents of the tale. It is better that the lover's secret should be told in the talk of others. He said, tell it forth openly and nakedly and without unfaithfulness. Do not put me off, O trifler. Lift the veil and speak nakedly, for I do not wear a shirt when I sleep with the adored one. I said, if he should become naked, this is the meeting with Sheikh Jalaluddin and Sheikh Shamsud Tabriz. I said, if he should become naked in thy vision, neither will thou remain, nor thy bosom, nor thy waist. Ask thy wish, but ask with measure. A blade of straw will not support the mountain. If the sun, by whom this world is illumined, should approach a little nearer, all will be burnt. Do not seek trouble and turmoil. Do not seek trouble and turmoil and bloodshed. Say no more concerning the son of Tabriz, Shamsud Tabriz. This mystery hath no end. Tell of the beginning. Go relate the conclusion of this tale. We will continue tomorrow, inshallah.
Social expectation drowns us all inside. What you have should be what I want, 'cause what I have just ain't alright. The clothes I wear, the way I comb my hair, how I live, oh I don't care. This is who I am, this is me.